Welcome. Thank you for joining me for this webinar this morning. This is going to be a recorded session, so for those who couldn't make it to the live session, I am recording this. I'll send you a copy. So the great thing about that is that you can watch it back. You can, as we're going through, pause it. I'm going to be asking questions throughout the workshop, and you'll get the most benefit from this if you actually sit down and do the work and actually answer the questions. Write out your answers if possible. So just sort of thinking about your answers is one thing, but actually sitting there and writing them out will get you a much better result. It really triggers your brain into processing what it is that you are reflecting on and what it is that you want to work on over the next 3 months. And that's how you'll get more effective results. So I first came across this review tool many years ago on a blog called Stratejoy, and I really think that it changed my life at the time. It might sound a bit dramatic to say something like that, but I really do believe that learning how to reflect and adjust my goals has just been really instrumental in getting me to where I am now. And it'll continue to get me to where I want to be. So I'm really excited to share this with you today, along with a few other concepts that really drive my coaching and help my clients achieve their results. So I'm Emma McVie, and I'm a life coach and a leadership coach. I'm really passionate about coaching people to achieve their goals, and I've been passionate about that for many, many years. But I've actually been coaching in my own business since 2018. I have a psychology degree, but I really fell in love with coaching because to me it's more about looking forward and creating the version of you and your future that you want, rather than kind of getting stuck looking at things that have happened in the past and trying to process that. So coaching isn't therapy. We do sometimes need to explore the past, but only in order to be able to process it, learn from it, and move forward from it. We don't sort of get stuck trying to make sense of things and trying to fix things that have already happened. We try to process it and move forward from there. I really love this quote. Coaching isn't therapy, it's product development with you as the product. And that's really what it's all about. And it's what I get so excited about, is helping you create the product. And this one, simply put, coaching is where you work with someone to connect with yourself, redesign your environment and your life, and then take action to implement. And that's what this personal quarterly review tool helps you to achieve. So if you were developing a product, you would try some things, you'd reflect and review, you'd see what's working, what's not, and then you plan some modifications until you were satisfied with the result. So if you were creating a tangible product, that's how you would go about it. You'd come up with a plan, you'd test some things out, you'd make adjustments as you needed to. And it's all about creating the product and the outcome that you want. And so it's the same with coaching, but we are looking at you as being the product. So I hope that makes sense and sets you up for the workshop today. We all want to progress, but if you're on the wrong road, we all want progress, but if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive. So it can feel counterintuitive to stop what we're doing and go back. It feels like you're going backwards. But what this is saying is that the person who does that the soonest is actually going to make the most progress, because you are making the adjustments that you need to make to get to where you want to be. So the personal quarterly review is all about taking that opportunity to refocus, adjust, and ultimately achieve your goals. So we're going to adjust your actions and your mindset and make sure that you are getting to where you want to be. Now, one of the things that holds us back, so the reason I like to do this review is that, we tend to set goals and plans and we get really excited about it, and then life gets in the way, or we just kind of lose focus on that goal and we don't achieve that. So this review helps us to kind of look at what's going on there. But one of the reasons that happens, that we set these goals and then sort of don't follow through with our plan to make changes, is that most of our goals involve a little bit of discomfort. Now, our brains, you may have heard me talk about this before if you've been following me for a little while, but our brains are designed to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. They're the three primary sort of targets of our brain, that they're the things that our brain's trying to do to protect us and to ensure our survival. But that's where our brain gets a little bit confused. So we might have a goal to get healthy and fit, for example. So we know that that's actually better for our survival. We know that getting healthier is going to be better for us long term, but our brain wants to search for what makes us happy and like what feels good. And in that moment, eating a bar of chocolate and sitting on the couch probably feels pretty good. It's going to give you a boost of dopamine when you have that chocolate. So it's going to seek pleasure over pain. It's going to try to avoid pain. And getting up and going out for a walk is a bit uncomfortable. Like if it's not something that you regularly do, your body's going to be a bit like, what are you doing to me? Why are you doing this? So it wants to avoid that, and it wants to conserve energy. So it wants to do whatever's easy and efficient. So when I'm talking about conserving energy, I'm not just talking about exercise and, resting and that sort of thing, but it's looking for what is the most efficient way to be satisfied. And the most efficient way is whatever we've already got set as a habit. Make sense? So our habits, we don't have to think about, we just do them. They're easy because they've sort of become ingrained. So our brains want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. And this will work against you when you are trying to make change, unless you're aware of it and you can resist that urge. Okay, so I talk about this a lot in my one-on-one coaching, and I help you sort of get your head around this and understand it more. But I want you to try and keep this in mind when you're looking at your progress of your goals and whether you've achieved that or not, and think about whether this might be a factor in why you're not achieving your goals. But also when you're setting your goals for the next 3 months, I want you to keep this concept in mind to understand that when you're finding it hard to achieve a goal or to implement a new habit, it's not that something's gone wrong. It's not that you're not good at it or that something's wrong with you. It's your brain doing what it's designed to do. Okay, nothing has gone wrong. So we can work with that. When you know what's happening with your brain and when you know that it's just trying to protect you, but it's got the wrong idea and it's going the wrong way about it, I feel like you can overcome that then. You can kind of say, oh, I know what's happening here. It's just my brain is trying to avoid pain, but it's got the wrong idea. So I'm gonna go against that and I'm gonna go for that walk. Okay. Another little concept that I want to introduce, because it comes into this workshop a couple of times, and it's another thing that really drives a lot of the one-on-one coaching that I do, is being aware of your values. So often we set goals that we think are important because other people tell us they're important. They fit with other people's values, but they don't necessarily fit with ours. A lot of the time we don't even know what our own values might be unless you sit down and actually think about that and work on it. So that's another thing I'd really encourage when we get to that section of the workshop, really put the time in. Like, don't just sort of come up with surface level values that you think are important. Really think about your own values. What is important to you in life? What are the most important factors? And really acknowledge those values. And don't try and feel like you need to fit in with what society says your values should be. Okay. I come across a lot of people that will tell me that their highest value is family, but they might be at a stage in their life where actually their highest value is career, and that might fit into family. You know, their career goals might be connected to wanting to be able to support their family or whatever. But when you try telling yourself that your values, your top values, are something that they're really not, you're going to have a lot of cognitive dissonance, I think is the term. I should know this. But your brain and your actions aren't going to be matching up. You're going to be trying to tell yourself one thing when it's not really how your brain thinks. So be honest with yourself about what your values are, and then focus on how the goals you want to achieve align with those values. When you can make that connection, even if it's not a really direct relationship, if you've got a goal that you want to achieve and you can tie that to one of your highest values, you are so much more likely to actually achieve that goal and to keep working at it. So I think this is really important stuff. If you need help with it, sing out, because it's something that, as I said, I do work on a lot with my one-on-one coaching, and I think it's really vital to knowing who you are, what's important to you, and how to achieve the life that you want. So we're going to start now with the questions, and remember I said at the beginning, I'm going to run through some information when we get to the questions, but feel free to pause the video and write out your answers and really put some time into thinking about them, because that's when you're going to get the most value from watching this video. So looking back at the last 3 months, and we just want to sort of keep this, what I encourage is that you do this every 3 months, okay? But even for now, just look at the last 3 months, because it gives you sort of buckets of time or pockets of time to look at, and it means you can get really specific with what's going on. So look through your calendar, your diary, and your photos. It's amazing how much stuff you're going to find that you hadn't really fully acknowledged or remembered or thought about. So try and look through some of that evidence of things that have happened and answer the question, what went really well? Okay, what went really well? You've probably heard of the neurotransmitter called dopamine. This neurotransmitter gives us a rush of joy or satisfaction when something rewarding happens. Okay, so every time something good happens, we get this rush of dopamine. It excites us. It drives us to seek more of that. Reflecting on what went well can help drive you forward to seek more good outcomes. This is another thing with the one-on-one coaching. You get regular and consistent reflection, and we're building upon every success. So we're always looking at what's going well and we're building on that. Okay, so that's something that I work with my clients on pretty closely. We also have the other reason I think this is a really important question is that we all have a negativity bias. So even if you think you're a pretty positive person, your brain is wired to bias towards negativity. So we're always looking out for dangers and for things that aren't so good. So reflecting on the positives helps us to get a fuller picture of the reality. So when you look back at the last 3 months, your brain, most people tend towards looking at what they didn't achieve or what didn't go well, or just what didn't happen. Like we might sort of look back and think, oh, nothing much happened. So forcing yourself to go back and really fully reflect and go through your evidence helps us to get a clearer picture that actually some good things really did happen. Next, we're going to look at what was challenging. So try to think about what external factors were challenging, as well as which internal factors were challenging. So which circumstances were really challenging? Things that were maybe outside of your control, things that happened that were challenging. Did you have any thoughts, challenging thoughts that held you back? Anything going on in your own mind that you were aware of that was holding you back? Which challenging feelings did you experience? Was there anything that you sort of came across where it was like, oh, like, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to process this. This doesn't feel good. I can't move past this. It's stopping me from being who I want to be. Did you need to take any challenging actions? Did you need to do something that was a real challenge for you? And were you challenged by any of your results? Have a think about all of those. This is another area I spend a lot of time on with my clients. We often get confused about which part of something is challenging. So we think that it's the circumstance. So we think that it's something that's outside of our control, but really it's our thought about that circumstance that's creating the challenge for us. And that's a big concept that I talk much more about in my one-on-one coaching. So reach out if that's something you want to hear more about. Next, we want to look at the question, what were your favorite memories from the last 3 months? So this generates an appreciation for the good things that have been happening. It helps us understand what's important to us. So we're not just looking here at what went well, but actually what were the favorite memories? What were the things that have stuck with us? It also helps us to think about what kind of experiences we want to create more of. So I might be very focused on my business and my clients and the work that I do. And when I look back over the last 3 months and ask myself, what were my favorite memories from the last 3 months? They will often involve my family and things that I've done with my husband and my child or my greater family. So that brings it back home to me that while my business and my clients and my work is a really high value and it's really important to me, it reminds me that I need to make time for those experiences that are the ones that actually really warm me up when I remember them. So we want to look more at, the history, the memories from the last 3 months that you want to create more of. There are studies that have shown that recalling happy memories is really important for lowering cortisol. So that's the hormone that makes you feel stressed. It's also important for building resilience and for lowering depression. So these studies were mostly, I think, conducted on young adults or people that were sort of entering adulthood. But really, I think they would apply across the board. I haven't done the full research to confirm whether they do or not, but I just think there's no harm in recalling happy memories, and it would make sense to me that no matter what your age, it is important for lowering cortisol, building resilience, and lowering depression. So recalling those happy memories. Now the next question is, how was I living by my values and what was missing? So think about your top 3 core values, the top 3 things that are really important to you. You might want to choose 5, but don't have too many because that's just going to confuse things. So looking just say at your top 3 core values, have you been living in alignment with those? The things where you're putting most of your energy and your time, are they connected with your top values? So often we find that they're not. A lot of people that I work with might find that their top values are just as an example here, their top values might be family, health, and fun. And all of their time and energy and stress is going into their work. And so that creates a lot of questions for us to work through. One, should work actually be up there in one of the top 3 values for this person? And if not, how do we create some change in the way they're assigning their time and their energy? You know, we understand that work is still important to be able to support their family, but we need to shift things a little bit so that they're actually giving their top 3 values the attention that they deserve and making sure that they're a part of their life. So identify what your values were and if you've been living in alignment with those, and if not, what's missing. If you haven't done a lot of values work before, it is really worth investing in this. So either do your own research and reflection or reach out and we can talk about how I work on this with one-on-one coaching. But I do think that when you get clear about your values, you can stop wasting time on things that aren't important. Okay, you start really driving towards the things that are important to you. So now we want to evaluate what happened over the last 3 months. We've done a bit of reflecting. Now we want to evaluate. So did you accomplish what you wanted? What progress have you made? It's really important to recognize even small progress, but it's also important to be able to acknowledge if you haven't achieved what you wanted without feeling shame or blame. So it's just about looking at this with curiosity. Be curious. Did I achieve what I wanted? What progress did I make? We're going to look at that a little bit more closely. But this is not about feeling bad if you didn't achieve what you'd hoped to by then. It's just an exercise in identifying where you're at. Have you celebrated your success? So how do you reward yourself? What rewards actually motivate you? And bringing that dopamine back in again, what is it that gives you that little feeling of dopamine when you achieve something? If you can sort of be bringing that into your success system or your reward system as much as possible, you're going to have that drive to succeed again and again. So we want to be able to celebrate those successes. Do you need to adjust your timelines? So we need to find a balance here with timelines. It's about finding the balance between being realistic, but also challenging yourself a little bit, pushing yourself a little bit. So saying that, I don't know, you're going to lose, I don't know why I keep going to health goals. I guess it's just something that a lot of people can kind of understand or relate to. But say you want to lose 10 kilos and you say you're going to do it in 1 month, that may not be realistic for you. It may not be healthy to do it that way. So adjust your timelines. What is a healthy and achievable timeline? And if you say you want to lose 10 kilos over 2 years, well, that might suit some people. That might feel like it's a bit of a stretch and like it might be difficult, but it also might be too long. Like it gives you too much space to sort of not take it seriously and not be thinking about it and working towards it every day. If you give yourself a realistic but challenging timeline, I think that is sort of the sweet spot. One-on-one coaching offers accountability and support to meet your timelines. So again, if this is something where you're finding that you keep setting goals and not achieving them, consider doing some one-on-one coaching so that you can get some support with managing your timelines, keeping you accountable, keeping you on track, and making sure that you are firstly setting realistic timelines, but also that you're achieving them. Do you need to evaluate any failures? So most of us hate this F word. So we can't bear to think about failing. And it's what actually stops us from doing a lot of things. We don't want to do it because we don't want to risk failing. We can't bear the thought of it possibly not being a success. So we just don't do anything at all. But when that happens, we're actually failing without trying. Like we're failing anyway by not taking that step forward. So The way I really like to think about failure is that every failure is a step forward. Every failure is saying, okay, that didn't work. Now I can move forward and try something else. It's like we're told from the time we're children that failing is about learning. We can learn from our failures. And we all know that intellectually, but when it actually happens, when you do fail, it can be brutal. Like I know that I still have to really manage my mind every time I fail. It's uncomfortable, but it's so important for growth to be able to look back and see that, okay, that was a failure either because it just didn't work out or because I didn't show up, I didn't try. So this is part of the evaluation, like what about it caused it to fail? Was it because I didn't show up or was it something else? And if it's something else, identifying what it could have been so that you can take that step forward and try the next thing. Okay? I think it's really important here to challenge yourself to fail more. And a lot of people are just horrified by that idea and just think, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to fail more? I want to succeed. The thing is, we succeed when we're willing to fail. We start succeeding when we are willing to have failure after failure after failure. One of the exercises that I really like to encourage, and it terrifies a lot of people, is to give yourself a failure goal. Like, I'm going to fail 5 times this week, but they're not allowed to be failures because you didn't show up. They have to be action failures, like you actually tried something and failed. And see how many failures you can rack up in a month or a week or whatever it is. Make it a game. See how many things you can try. And every time it fails, you get a score for that. You get a mark for that. And so it makes it more of a, it's kind of like a success every time you fail because you're getting, you're getting a tally for it. So, but also what that means is you're going to have more chance that one of those attempts is going to be a success. It's going to lead you to something. You're going to show yourself that you're not afraid to fail because it's moving you forward. But this part of the review is really about evaluating the failures and working out, okay, what will I do differently next time? Now, we're going to start preparing for the next 3 months. So we want to get clear on your values. Remember, be really honest with yourself about what your values are. Don't just write down what other people's values are and what you think your values should be. Be really honest with yourself about what they actually are. So look at your top 3 to 5 core values and start thinking about how you'll bring them into focus to help drive everything that you do. So what values will be your focus in the next 3 months? What are you craving in the next 3 months? How do you want to feel? When we start talking about planning how you want to feel, a lot of people think that's a bit weird. They might look at me like I'm a bit woo-woo. But our feelings drive our actions, okay? And our actions drive our results. So taking your feelings seriously and taking time to plan and choose what feelings will generate the actions that you need to create the results you want is vital to achieving your success. Knowing what feelings you want to feel that will make you move forward. And then it's your thoughts that create your feelings. So when we use this model, which I use a lot in my one-on-one coaching, we can look at the results that you want and work backwards from there. So what actions will get you that result? What do you need to be feeling to create that action? What thoughts do you need to have to generate that feeling? That's kind of the steps we take through that model. It might, I don't know, I don't think it does sound that weird because I've been doing this for so long, but I know when I first came across this concept, I didn't entirely agree with it. I kind of resisted it and thought, well, no, that's not true. Like, can't choose how I think about certain things. They just are what they are. But when you start really working through this and understanding that you have control over your thoughts, and those thoughts create your feelings, feelings create actions, actions create results, it's magic. It's powerful. Trust me. I was probably one of the biggest resistors of this whole concept when I first came across it, and now I coach with it because it really is powerful. So think about how you want to feel over the next 3 months and write that down. And next we want to plan. So we want to create your goals for the next quarter. Okay, we want to think about project goals and maintenance goals. So project goals have like a defined time. They've got a deadline. They can be ticked off. They've got a start and an end to them. Okay, once you complete them, you tick them off. That's a project goal. And then a maintenance goal, it requires ongoing work. So daily, weekly, monthly, committed action. So these are things that you want to add to or remove from your life. They're sort of like the habits, the things that you want to, you know, build into part of who you are and how your life works. So one way that I suggest doing this, you can set it out however works for you. I have like a fairly structured mind. I like things to be in their columns and in their boxes, and I like to be able to see where everything fits. Other people like to just splatter it everywhere. Other people like to have a list. I like a list as well. But try to consider, so you can do this in one specific area of your life. So you might just be looking at work. You might just be doing this whole review on your work area of life. Or you might be doing it like across the board. When I do my quarterly review, I like to do one that's across the board, that looks at my whole life, because it helps me to really get a good understanding of how everything fits together. And then sometimes I'll go and do a narrower focus on one particular area that's important to me. So if you're looking at your whole life, try to look at the various domains. So I've got some suggested domains here. We've got work, finances, health and well-being, relationships, personal development, fun and leisure, your physical environment, so your home or your workspace, and community contribution. These are just some ideas. You can tweak that to what suits you. What are the important domains of your life? And then break it down into your project goals and your maintenance goals. And you don't have to have a goal in every cell on this example table. We set it out like this so that you think about those areas and you think about if there is a goal that you want to work on over the next 3 months for that area. Is it a project goal? Is it a maintenance goal? So it's just about getting clear on what it is that you really want to work on. And consider your timeline. So what we're focused on here is just the next 3 months. We're not setting life goals here. We're not setting something for the next 12 months. We're really narrowing our focus to the next 3 months to see what it is you can achieve in that time. So you don't want to have too many goals in there. You want to be realistic about what it is that you can achieve. We want to have SMART goals where possible. I've also always been very resistant to the whole SMART goals idea because my brain has to think too hard about whether it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But what I find when I coach other people is that's the sort of information that I'm looking for from them, and that's what actually gets results. So when you can be really specific about what goal it is that you want to achieve, when you can make it measurable so that you know whether you've achieved it or not. Achievable, self-explanatory, like can this be achieved or is it a bit far-fetched? Relevant, so I think that's where it's important to think, is it relevant to your values? Is the goal relevant to your big picture? Is it relevant to your long-term goals? And we want it to be time bound. So we want to know that by this date, that will be achieved, or by this date, this portion of that goal will be achieved. We want to have a time frame to work on this by, or to know that we've made progress. And so I think even with your maintenance goals, you can make it time bound. You can say that you want to meditate every day for the next 30 days, or you want to meditate for 5, if we're making it measurable, you want to meditate for 5 minutes every day for the next 30 days. And then when you get to the 30 days, you can look back and see whether that's been achieved or not. So it's about looking at all of those factors and making your goal really clear so that you can go back and look at it and say that, yes, you achieved it, or no, not yet. There's also, I think I missed a bit, because back here when we're creating the goals, I was talking about how we have project goals and maintenance goals. At this point, when you're creating your goals for the next quarter, I also like to add tasks. What are the tasks that you need to get done? So they might not be goals. It might be your life admin stuff. They might fit into some of your goals, but they might be different. But it is important to also acknowledge, what things would you like to achieve? What tasks need to be ticked off the list over the next 3 months? So I do that at that point as well. And again, that might come into looking here and working out what are tasks, what are goals. There's only a subtle sort of difference between a task that needs to be achieved and a goal, like it's your goal to achieve that task. But I guess with the goals, we're looking at some of the bigger picture stuff, and then you can even break that down into tasks as well. Now, if you are interested in one-on-one coaching to really drive your results, let me just take a moment to share with you how that works. I offer 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months for my coaching packages. Each of those have a session up to once a week. So that's 12 sessions for the 3-month package, 26 sessions for the 6-month package, and up to 52 sessions for the 12-month package. So we can meet up to weekly if that suits you. And we focus entirely on moving you forward to where you want to be. You also get access to monthly live group coaching or webinars that I offer. These are totally optional, but they're definitely valuable. So this is just a bonus that is thrown in with your package. And of course, you can reach out between sessions. So for the term of your package, I'm here to support you. I want to see you succeed. I want to help you in whatever way I can. So if you need to reach out in between sessions and just get a pointer on something, or need help just shifting something in your mind, you can reach out and talk that through. And I do offer that you can cancel anytime, and I refund the remainder of that package. So just split over weekly, a weekly breakdown. I'll refund the remainder of the package if for whatever reason you need to cancel. The best value is to pay up front, but I also offer monthly payments if that's easier for you. I want to make it easy for you to succeed and for you to create the life that you want and the results that you want. So if this is something that you're interested in, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you about it. Send me any... Oh, I've lost my pointer. Can't get to where I want to go. It's okay. Send me any questions, or if you want to talk about anything that we've done in this session, reach out and be happy to chat with you about that. And let me know if you found this useful, and if so, feel free to share it with others. And I would be really keen to talk to you if you're interested in one-on-one coaching. So otherwise, thank you for your time. I really encourage you to go back and read over. Make sure that you have answered those questions in full and that you've written them down, and go back and read over them. The most important thing is to take action and start creating the life that you want. So this review will help you to start doing that. I do encourage you each, like maybe once a week or once a month, maybe more frequently, whatever works for you, but don't leave it another 3 months to go and look at this again, because by then you might have forgotten what you were planning on working on. So go back and review. You don't have to do the full review, but go back and read over it again and again, because that's what's going to train your brain to be always thinking about your values and your goals and what it is that you're working towards. So I really think that's worth scheduling some time in your calendar, once a week, once a month, to go back and see how you're tracking and if you're achieving the things that you had set out to achieve. I really hope you found this useful. Would love to hear from you. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.